Welcome to the MTD Live Q&A with HMRC and Clear Books. So today HMRC will be answering your questions as well as Clear Books. So over the next hour we have this webinar. So let's introduce ourselves. So I am Martin Ladd. I'm the account manager here at Clear Books. So I help demonstrate the Clear Books product when needed, and I offer just general support for the accountants and bookkeepers that have a Clear Books practice, and help onboard any clients that any new practices might have. We're also joined by David Carr, the CFO here at Clear Books. Hi, David.
Hi, Martin. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I see a few familiar names in the attendee list today. So I'm David. I'm the CFO at Clear Books. I'm a chartered accountant myself. I've been at Clear Books for about 8 years, so very familiar with the software, as well as running the accounts for Clear Books on Clear Books. I also volunteer as a treasurer for a community interest company. So it's not a commercial practice that I operate, but in relation to using Clear Books and understanding the needs of businesses. I've got like three different perspectives: from the software provider, from running our business Clear Books on Clear Books, and then as well as working with a smaller business. So that's just a little bit about me. And in my spare time, outside of software and community interest company accounting, I teach group fitness classes. So that's what sort of gets me away from the computer and away from the spreadsheets and interacting with people. So that's a little bit about me. But I'll pass over to back to you, Martin. Thank you.
No problem. We're also joined by Pete Jones. He is the product manager here at Clear Books. Hi, Pete.
Hi. Yeah, my name's Pete Jones, product manager at Clear Books. I was an accountant in practice at the start of my career, but yeah, majority of my career has been in accounting and compliance software, working for the likes of Sage, Digita, Thomson Reuters, and for the last 2.5 years for Clear Books. So I'm heading up the development of the MTD for income tax solutions in Clear Books. Pass back to you, Martin.
Cheers, Pete. We're also joined by guest speaker Lenny Barry here at HMRC, who will be shedding more light on updates about the MTD for income tax. Hi, Lenny.
Morning, Martin. Morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting us onto this webinar about making tax digital. I'm not an accountant, never have been, probably never will be, but I know making tax digital very well. I've been on the program since 2018. MTD VAT came in, went quite well, disrupted by the pandemic, and now making tax digital for income tax is coming sooner than we think. And my job as an engagement manager is to engage with agents on a daily basis, and to make sure that agents know what's coming, know what they need to do, and answer any questions. So if you have any questions, please make sure you take the opportunity today to ask. And if I don't know the answer, which will be unusual, I will go back and research it, find out, and come back to you through Clear Books. Thanks, Martin.
No worries. Which brings us to Q&A. If you do want to leave us any questions, we already do have some for Lenny and the rest of the team here at Clear Books. But if you do want to leave a question over the course of the webinar, you can see on the bottom right-hand side of the corner a square full of dots. If you click on that, then you'll be able to see Q&A, and then you can just simply ask a question, and then we'll look at all the questions at the end of the webinar today. So we'll move on to the agenda. So what we'll be covering over the next hour, we have the MTD What, Who and When presented by David. And then, as mentioned, we have Lenny, who'll be going through the HMRC key updates. And then Pete here will be demonstrating MTD for income tax on Clear Books. And then we'll run through the Q&As towards the end of today's webinar. So over to you, David.
Thank you, Martin. So those of you who might have joined us for our webinar last month, we went into quite a bit of detail about the what, who, and when for MTD. So I'm not going to go into as much detail today, because I want to make sure we have enough time to ask Lenny about all the questions that we have. And so I just wanted to mention that we've got some short videos on the Clear Books YouTube channel, which go into details of that. So I do welcome you to go and check those out later if you haven't seen them already, or if you weren't able to join the webinar last month. But just as a quick recap to make sure we are all on the same page, what is MTD in a nutshell? Sole traders and landlords are going to need to comply. Their taxpayers and agents are also affected, and it's going to be affecting sole traders and landlords with over £20,000 of revenue. So there's a bit more detail behind that, but I'll skip over that for now. I'm sure Lenny will have some stuff to talk about for that, and that we do go into detail in our previous webinar. What does it mean for taxpayers and agents? It means using HMRC registered software to do digital record keeping, to submit quarterly submissions of income and expenses throughout the year, and then to file the end of year tax return in the MTD environment as well. So we're going to go through a bit more of those details later, and I'm sure you guys will have some questions. Some questions have already come through around that. Is there anything else that's relevant? Yes. So making tax digital for income tax is additional to VAT, and so we'll touch on that, how to use Clear Books for VAT and income tax on your clients. And another key thing to keep in mind that we go into a bit of detail in our previous video is that a taxpayer is either in MTD for income tax or they're not. And so that's just something that might come up in the questions later. So that's just a sort of quick recap of some of the key elements that are quite important. The time frame is phased. And so right now we're at the left-hand side of this chart, and people can sign up voluntarily for Making Tax Digital. It's going to become mandatory in tranches based on the eligible revenue of 50K, 30K, and 20K over the next few years. And so it is going to be a theme for accountants and for clients for quite a few years still to come. So we went into a bit of more detail of this last time, so I don't want to chew up too much valuable time today going over this, but just wanted to reference this. If this is a useful slide for you to use in your practice or when working with your clients, you're welcome to take a screenshot of this and use this when helping plan the rollout. I have one more other sort of key slide to recap, which is a very colorful chart. I won't go into too much detail for this, but we use this as a really effective tool to break down how the different income sources, so each sole trade business and the property businesses, stack up throughout the year, the requirements that happen in the year, and then what happens at the end of the year for each business, but then also for the individual as a whole. So I won't go into this in much detail now, but just to reference, if you haven't seen this graphic before, I do suggest you check out our video or book in a call, and we're happy to walk through the details of this. We find it's a really useful tool for understanding how MTD is going to roll out across clients. Again, if you wish to take a screenshot of this, you're welcome to use that in your references. So I'm just about finished with my little intro. We did promise that we have a toolkit for Making Tax Digital, and we are in the voluntary phase of Making Tax Digital right at the moment. And there's a couple of things that are set in stone. So these are the facts. 10 months from now, the first wave of mandated clients will need to be on Making Tax Digital. And there's about 800,000 who will need to be compliant from April 2026. And MTD is live now. So those are the facts. We've got 10 months, there's 800,000 taxpayers that need to be on it, and we can get started today. So that lays out where we are. And then I'm sure we all have a question, well, what do I do right now? And the short answer is get started. So during the voluntary phase, from today until at the end of March, there's no penalties, there's no fines. If you make mistakes, if you don't comply, there's no risk, there's no costs, there's nothing that can go wrong. So there's every reason to get started. In fact, beyond just getting started, with this specific dedicated support that HMRC and also Clear Books will provide you and your clients to work through that process. So we'll touch on the toolkit a little bit more later on, just before we get to the Q&A. But one of the key things is just, it sounds like quite a lot of work, right? Sort of to be thinking about how do 800,000 taxpayers become compliant in 10 months. And so we're saying the best way to get started is with 3 clients. Which 3 clients? Look for one that's self-employed. So the first cab off the rank should be somebody who's probably already quite digital savvy. it'll be quite easy to get them compliant. And so that way you can test out your agent services account, your process, how are you going to be doing quarterly updates? Do you need to change the way that you're working with your clients? These things will come to light. And it's a great idea to start with somebody that would be quite well suited to doing that. Use things like make sure they're set up for bank feeds to help automate the process even further, if not already. Using features like ClearBooks auto bills to get the expense information into ClearBooks more quickly, and maybe have a think about, are we going to be doing this record keeping quarterly or monthly or weekly? What's the right balance for that client? So choose an easy client that's self-employed and get them started in the first instance. Client number 2 should be a bag of receipts type client. So somebody who's a bit more challenging, somebody who's not on software, they might struggle, perhaps they're not very digitally savvy. It's because this is the other end of the spectrum. So, okay, well, what's the best way to help support these clients with this shift? ClearBooks has a lot of automations that can help make that easy. And so some might be more suited to those clients and some might be for rolling out a bit later on. What this will do is we'll uncover the onboarding challenges. It'll help show where the difficulties are and then what areas to work on. And there's actually a business opportunity for you as an accountant as well. Your clients who aren't, they're sending a bag of receipts at the end of the year to get their self-assessment done, there might be an opportunity to work more closely with them to offer them not just their compliance, but actually more insight into their business throughout the year. So I've sort of called that upselling management reporting, but whatever advisory services and business support that you can offer them might be an opportunity to bring them those support as well. And then the third client for your in the toolkit should be one who has property income. So these clients, they probably aren't thinking of it as a business, and the quarterly reporting updates are something that will be probably quite new to them. They're probably thinking of it on an annual basis. They just send some information across, and they probably do it quite long after the year ends. And so you'll need to work with your clients to bring that reporting in much sooner. So this is the toolkit. We will go through this in a bit more detail later, but just to sort of set the stage to be thinking, what is MTD? When is it starting to roll out? And how can you get started with the toolkit? So that's the sort of the introduction, and just to make sure we're all on the same page around making tax digital for income tax. And I'll take a breather now, and I think it's time to pass over to Lenny.
Okay, thanks, David. I'll just share my screen, he said optimistically. Window. There we go. Is that coming up?
Yes, that's perfect.
Lovely. Okay, so as David said, hopefully lots of you are familiar with Making Tax Digital. I'm not going to suggest that you are all happy and you're all dying for it to come in and make it happen, but that's the reality, that we are just over 9 months away to mandation. And as David said, there's 800,000 to come in. That's a lot, and agents need to be getting ready. So my big pitch today is to try to convince you, if you haven't already started to think about Making Tax Digital, to start now. There's nothing like being in it for real to find out what it's all actually about. So David said, bring 3 clients into testing. I would really endorse that, because it's the only way you're going to find out what the reality is by coming into testing in 25, 26 and getting the insight that you need to be ready for the rest of your client base coming in from April 26, 27 or 28. Now, I say I go to lots of events. I speak to lots of accountants. Normally, the first question I get asked is it going to happen? And that doesn't happen now. Last year, that was the #1 question. Last year, people would say to me, oh, there'll be an election. Yeah, that's the democratic process. There'll be a change of government. If that's what the public decide, it'll be a Labour government and they'll kick it into touch. No, they won't, and no, they didn't. If anything, to be fair, they challenged us. They looked at the business case again. We had to make the case why we were on track, how we can deliver, and the minister accepted that, so much so that he extended the threshold down to £20,000. So those above £20,000 will be coming in from April 2028. Such was the minister's confidence in what we were doing. But I know that some people are still anxious. They're worried about it. I was at Accountex last week, so everything was being asked was about making tax digital. Normally we get people coming up saying your contact center is not very good, or how do I deal with inheritance tax? But everything was MTD focused. So certainly there's a mood shift, and people are moving into a mindset of, well, even if I don't like it, I'm going to have to start getting ready. And that's really the important part. The other questions we get asked that are quite unusual, excuse me, is one of the questions is, how long does it take to create digital records? And that's how long is a piece of string. So it depends how you're going to do that with or for your client. So the client is going to say, I can bring it to you every month. I can email it to you. Fantastic. But they're going to have to be converted into a digital record in either a software package or in a spreadsheet, and you could use a bridging product. But accountants probably want as much to be in their software as is possible. If you are going to offer to create the digital records, the second question we get is, how much more do I have to charge? Now, I would love to be able to tell you the maximum you can charge is such and such, but of course, every circumstance is different. What I can say, with no disrespect to accountants, at the moment, when I talk to accountants, they don't know what to charge, and it's worrying them because that's the first thing the client is going to ask. Once you pick a figure, the client's going to go, oh, I don't want to pay that much. So you could outsource it to a bookkeeper. The creation of the digital records is fundamentally, it's data processing. The bookkeeping or accounting work comes after the records are created. So I don't know, your cousin who's at college could come in and do it in an evening or a weekend. It's just thinking outside the box. How do I get this done if that's what the client wants me to do? There is the nuclear option of the client will do it themselves. They'll say, I can do that. I'm not paying for that privilege. That's fine. Many accountants say it'll be a disaster. I couldn't possibly comment, but if that's what they opt to do, then try to help them. So I know some accountants are talking about giving them a spreadsheet and basically saying, if you buy something for your business, fill in the green boxes. If you sell something or provide a service for your business, fill in the yellow boxes. And if all the boxes are filled in, you're going to be there or thereabouts. Will it be perfect? No, it won't. Very little is perfect in life. And HMRC have to be realistic and pragmatic. This is a big change for taxpayers. It's a big change for accountants. So we're not going to come out with a big stick. We fully accept that the digital records are not going to be perfect to begin with, but our key word is better. So if Q1, they haven't got up to the 5th of July, they're up to the 17th of June, that's a pretty good effort for the first time. But in Q2, because it's cumulative, they can catch up. In Q3, they'll get closer, and Q4, hopefully, it will be as good as they can make it. If they're not perfect, in year one, we can be better in year two. And we have to accept that people will come with us slowly but surely, and the threat of a big stick and penalties never works. It's resentful. So we would rather, genuinely, we'd rather help partners such as Clear Books. We'd help partners such as accountants. If you need help, come to us. We publish lots of guidance, but it might not be what you actually want, which is probably why we'll get questions today from you that are not covered explicitly in guidance because it's not clear to you. And the guidance is, we try to make it as simple as possible, but the sheer volume of it can put people off. There's hundreds of pages on gov.uk about making tax digital, but you need to be able to look in the right place, use the search function and find it. Sometimes it won't show and people will get frustrated, and we get that. But we really want to be with you side by side rather than being, we're the opposition on the other side of the fence. Yes, we're the tax authority. Yes, this is our plan. This is our process. And we fully recognize that agents, accountants are key, because if accountants are with us, it'll work. If accountants are not with us, it makes our task far more difficult. And in time, we would have to find ways of encouraging accountants and taxpayers to play the game and do it properly. So I've got, I could talk to you for hours about making tax digital. I don't know, there's probably 90 slides in this deck. I've given the deck to Martin to be able to share with you later. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 90 slides. I'm going to race through some things because you can see it later on your own accord. But there's some key things that we want to highlight with you. So today it's, where are we now? We are good to go. Many people are probably sitting down, kneeling down at the end of a day saying, please God, give me another delay on making tax digital. Yes, we have had delays. Yes, the pandemic accounted for 3 of those. 2 of them were our fault. But making tax digital for Income is the biggest change we're making in HMRC this decade. It is very, very complicated. It was probably more complicated than we understood at the outset. The chief executive said that to the Public Accounts Committee. So our timetable was ambitious, but we weren't able to meet that ambition. And testing in 25, 26, absolutely vital. So please think about coming into testing. So there's lots of sales pitch, you know, why are we doing it? Yes, it can reduce the chances of making errors. It can give customers up-to-date, accurate information. We're moving all the self-assessment tax records onto a new platform. So this is part of our transformation of the tax administration system. So currently, the 43 taxes that we administer all live in a silo. They don't talk to each other. It makes our life difficult. It makes your life difficult. But the enterprise tax management platform will put everything together, and we will be able to provide a better service to you and to your clients, because we'll be able to see them as an holistic entity rather than you're phoning me up about VAT, but you also do national insurance, you also do capital gains, you also do corporation tax, and then we'll be able to put that all together and give a more rounded response. So MTD VAT, I'm sure many of you were with us at MTD VAT. It was delayed by the pandemic. It is in, it is working, it does what it says on the tin, and it was relatively simple because it was only 9 boxes on the VAT return, and those VAT registered traders were already keeping good records and used to filing quarterly. This is, a bit of feedback from an accountant in Plymouth. They took the opportunity of introducing new services, daily bookkeeping. The clients now have significantly more up-to-date financial information and can make better decisions as a result. Now, if I was to walk into your practice tomorrow and say, I'm going to start up as a self-employed plumber, you'd go, that's fantastic. We can help you. That'd be great. But I think it's highly unlikely that you would say to me, on your way home, pop into WH Smith and get some duplicate receipt books, because you don't want paper records. You want them to be using software. And this is an amazing opportunity to migrate many clients onto software to help make your task easier. And genuinely, when we started MTD for income tax, you may remember Chancellor Osborne stood up in the House of Commons in 2015 and said, this will be the death of the tax return. That was his soundbite, got him on the 6 o'clock news. But it wasn't quite as simple as that. But we genuinely believed then and believe now that making tax digital will make accountants' life easier in time. But we need to get over the inertia, over the hump, to get to the promised land of everything will be on software, everything will be faster, everything will be quicker. So there's a bit of sales. We do listen, so your professional bodies and the software developers frequently have lobbied us to make changes, things that people don't like. So we did a big consultation in 2023. That was in the midst of the 2-year delay that had been announced. And from that, big changes were made. The quarterly updates were simple standalone ones, and that meant you would have to go back and make a change in Q1 if you found a receipt in Q3. We accepted that and we've redesigned it so that it's cumulative. The professional bodies wanted to have 3-line accounts in MTD. We agreed because that helps the smallest businesses, although we lose part of the benefit of MTD, which is the line-by-line accounts, because it will just be your total income, total expenditure, and your net profit. There was an end-of-period statement that had to be done. The professional body said, for what you get out of the end-of-period statement compared to the amount of work, it's not worth it, and we conceded. And joint property owners, complicated, can be simple. There was an easement put in. Generally, landlords, your income would be fairly stable, fairly static, because it's the same rents every month, and the fluctuation is in your expenses. So if and when you have to replace a boiler or a window or whatever, and we've said you don't have to do that quarterly, you can do that at the end of the year. Personally, I don't see that as being a great benefit. Just get into the habit of, I've spent whatever it is, £1,800 on a boiler, put it in your digital records and do it as you go along. There was some exemptions, foster carers, people who don't have a national insurance number, they will be exempt from MTD for income tax. We were asked, and we've promised, and we have now delivered multiple agent functionality. So an accountant who's currently doing the tax return will continue to do the tax return. I know many accountants who say to me, I don't have the capacity or the capability or the interest in doing the digital records. That's fine, but you need to tell your client that and what the alternatives are. The alternatives are you could use a bookkeeper or you could do it yourself. And if you choose to use a bookkeeper, if as an accountant you have an alliance, a strategic alliance with a bookkeeper, then multiple agent functionality is now in place. So the bookkeeper would be able to do the quarterly updates and the digital records and then hand over to you at the end of year to do the tax return. And professional bodies asked us to align the VAT and MTD for income tax filing date. So the filing date for income tax was the 5th of the month. Filing deadline for VAT is the 7th of the month. So to all intents and purposes, we are saying now it's the 7th of the month. The legislation hasn't been changed yet. That will be changed in budget 25 in the autumn, and from mandation it will be from the 7th. But if you come into testing, just take it as the 7th. So as you know,
sorry Lenny, just so you know, just got a couple more minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll just leave a call out as well. I see some questions coming through, which is great, and we've got questions that have came through before the webinar, but please do send all your questions through so that we've got lots of good stuff to talk about when we get to the Q&A section toward the end. So just a reminder to use the Q&A function in the bottom right-hand corner to anybody who's got questions to share. Yeah. Sorry, Lenny.
No problem. So quarterly updates, we talk about them, but to be clear, the quarterly updates are the unadjusted summaries of income and expenses. They are categorized, so it's the categorized expenses, and then your software will pick out the categories, add them all up, and send us those categories. So it's not just two numbers, it's a little bit of the background information by categories, but it is certainly not all the transactions. We simply couldn't cope with all the transactions. There's the quarterly dates. You can also elect for a calendar quarter. Let's be honest, a tax year starting on the 6th of April, how helpful is that? Most people will work to the 31st of March, so you would have a calendar quarter, but the filing deadline would remain the 7th of the month. So 1.8 million coming in 26 and 27. 28, there's another 1.8 million coming above 20,000. Some of the things, so we are doing the tax gap. The tax gap is something that we estimate each year for all the taxes we collect. It's what we've brought in against what we think we should have brought in. For self-assessment, the gap is £5.9 billion. Now, that's a significant amount of money. I can't tell you how many hospitals or fire engines that equates to, but we have to accept that people will make mistakes. So if one of the best examples is if you've declared your taxable income as £54,321, and then later on in your tax return, you make a mistake and you transpose the figures to 45,321, you've changed your tax liability. And if everybody does that, that's why it's always in favor of the client. So that £5.9 billion, we'd like some of that back because it's what we're owed, it's what we are due. And one of the big things that we're not very good at promoting the benefits, and Making Tax Digital is the doorway to a huge amount of benefits. So let me I just ran past one there. So because of Making Tax Digital and the enterprise tax management platform, we will be able to increase significantly the amount of pre-population we can put in to the tax return. So on the right hand side, you can see what's available now in the computerized environment for self-assessment, CESA, and then on the left hand side you can see how much more we'll be able to put into the tax return, making life easier and faster at the end of year process. So CIS deductions is a big one, benefits in kind, employment expenses, state pension, all state benefits. It's a big plus for us. But another big benefit for us is we've put in a service available to all software providers to build into their software to allow you to say, we call it nudges and prompts, we actually call it HMRC Assist. So the 45,000 and the 54,000 would not be accepted. We would not take that tax return in until HMRC Assist has played through what are they telling us, what do we already know. So a simple thing like a transposition would be picked up by HMRC Assist. We will not accept the tax return because we know it's wrong, because the two figures can't be correct. We'd send it back with a prompt to say, Can you fix it? Can you do what needs to be done? If that changes to 54,000, that's great. We get right tax, right time. And on the slide, you're saying, we'll also remind people if they're coming close to £90,000, we'll remind them to start thinking about registering for VAT. In any tax, there's penalties. We believe the new penalties which we brought in for VAT, which is points-based, was well received. It means that if you do make a mistake, if you don't submit something on time, you're not getting a financial penalty straight away. You get a penalty point, a bit like driving license. If you then are compliant for 2 years, the points will drop off. Testing. We really need you to test with us. So these are the things we want to test. What are the benefits? It's now 14 months away. It's now 10 months away. Experience of the testing phase will help you and your clients plan your transition. No penalties for the quarterly updates during testing phases. There will be a penalty, obviously, with the tax return. But most importantly, if you come into testing, you will get direct access to a dedicated customer support team for MTD. That's 30 customer advisors. That's way better average and ratio than on the helplines. And all they will deal with is making tax digital. As a bonus, they'll deal with any personal tax issues with that client, with that agent. But it's there to make sure that people are comfortable in testing. If something goes wrong, that's the whole point of testing. If we can find something wrong and fix it with 10,000 people in testing rather than 800,000 coming in, that is so hugely beneficial. If it's a problem on our side, if it's a problem with the software developer, we will work together and get it fixed. There'll be no detriment to your client, and we just want to make sure that it works for the benefit of everybody. Now, later on in the presentation, if you want to view it later, you'll see how easy the sign-up journey is, what you would need to do. All clients will need to be signed up individually because they are individuals with their own national insurance number, dates of birth. That's the identifiers. I could see Martin has appeared. That's never a good sign. But if you go through it, if you have any questions, come back via Clear Books. I'll be more than happy to. I'll even phone you up and explain it to you if that's what you want. That'll be absolutely fine. But we really do need you to come into testing. So if you can think about that and you can get engaged with us and come into testing, it will be hugely beneficial for you. I know it sounds dreadful. We've got people in testing. We've got over 1,000 people in testing now. We are quite okay, but we would like more because it means more accountants are understanding what will be required and will give them a better informed judgment as to how much work is involved. Do I need to recruit? What do I charge? And those are the key questions that clients will ask you. Martin.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you very much. That's brilliant. So yeah, obviously we'll cover more as well in the Q&As in a moment, but we'll move on to Pete for your demo.
Thanks, Martin. I'll just share my screen and we'll get going.
Sorry, Pete, I pressed the wrong button. Let me get rid of my screen sharing.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just run through a real quick demo of Clear Books and our MTD solution. So make sure we've got plenty of time at the end for Q&As. Yeah, there's some great questions already. I'm looking forward to the HMRC answers on those from Lenny. Yeah, so all I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through a quick demo of Clear Books, how you can use some of our automation to really quickly create digital records, and then the onboarding process for MTD for income tax, sending quarterly updates, and then a quick sort of preview of our end of year UX. So let's jump into a demo here. So I've just set up a dummy practice. I've only got a couple of clients in here right now, and I'm going to log into this Lucy's Flowers client. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so this is just a brand new client. I've set up a bank feed and I've done like 1 month's worth of like explaining the bank transactions. And I'll go into the bills inbox to just show you one of the the automation features we've got. So it may be that Lucy is used to just handing over a box of receipts at the end of the year. These now need to be kept as digital records and submitted once a quarter. So what I've done here, Lucy's sent in her April receipts, and they've been scanned in, and the data entry is done by ClearBooks. It may be that she's capturing these using the ClearBooks app, just as she goes about our daily business. It may be she's collecting them up and sending them once a week or once a month. What I'm going to do is just very quickly drag in May receipts. I've only got a few here, and we'll drag those in. So rather than me typing these out, I'm just going to load it in. ClearBooks is then going to use OCR and AR models to analyze those photos of receipts and invoices. They can also be emailed into this bills inbox, or as I said, you can use the ClearBooks mobile app to just take photos as you go, and they'll just automatically come into the inbox, be analyzed straight away. Each one takes something like 4 seconds. So as they're done, they'll just drop down in the ready to review area, and it will show you a summary of what it's extracted. And I can just really quickly go through, change the code if you need to, but like we don't really need to worry too much. As Lenny said, like the records for each quarter, they don't have to be accurate. They don't have to have tax adjustments and so on. So the categories aren't that important for the quarterly updates. We've got a power editor feature as well. So even if Lucy's doing this categorization herself, at the end of the year, I can use the power editor so I can review any particular category and make global changes very quickly. So I'll just quickly run through these and review and save those. So let's look at the other suggested account codes. This is AI model suggesting account codes. So I can just click through. If it all looks good, I'll check the value. That's great. Let's save it. There's another one. We'll save that, and then just a couple left. And the final one there. And let's change this to van maintenance. And it's a new supplier. It'll remember next time that ATS is going to be van maintenance. Right. So yeah, I've just done 5 very quickly there, but even if it's 50 or 100 receipts, it's going to be very, very quickly to get those into the software and turn them into digital records. I'll jump back to the dashboard. And what I've got here, so I've set up a bank feed, but Lucy sent over a CSV file for 3 months bank statements, so April, May, June. I'm going to import that statement now. Let's go and grab that file. So it's just a list of bank transactions I downloaded from online banking. I'll drag that in, and that's going to import. So that's now created 52 transactions ready for me to explain. So I can manually go through these. It's what I did like for the first month, manually go through and categorize them. What I'm going to do here is use this auto explain feature. This will run, so on a bank feed, this will run as the bank feed comes in, and it will automatically like reconcile those transactions. So it will look for any bills that you've created and match them up. It will look for any sales invoice you've created and any receipts you've received into the bank account, and mark those invoices as paid. Any common things, so like Lucy's drawings, it will just automate the coding of those bank transactions. If I look at a quick summary, I can see a bunch of bills have been paid, so it's matched those up with those receipts that I uploaded earlier on. And then we've got all of the common bank transactions, bank payments that it's just going to remember from the first time you code it. It will then repeat that process as the bank feed comes in or when you do the CSV import. Right, so that's just a real quick look at some of the automation we've got that can make the creation of the digital records very quick with absolute minimal manual effort. Right, so let's look at the MTD for income tax. Let's set this up. So this is just a one-off process. It's just a step-by-step. The first one just breaks down the different thresholds for the different tax years. We'll hit next. We'll then put in Lucy's national insurance number. Then if you haven't got your agent services account set up, you can link straight to that from here. You can copy across clients from the legacy services agent account into the ASA. And then you can also use this link to sign up. And Lenny's slides has got some great screenshots, which he went through real quick. It explains the sign up process step by step. In this case, in my example, Lucy's already signed up, so I'll hit next. And now I'm going to authorize ClearBooks. So I'm just going to sign up or sign in using my government gateway credentials, just drop those in, sign in, give permission to access self-employment information, and that's it. The authorization is done. And because I'm an agent, I don't need to do authorization for all of my clients. That's now stored in Clear Books. So for all the other clients that signed up for MTD, the authorization part's done. So all I need to do is enter national insurance number and then select their business income source. So if Lucy's got multiple sole trades or property income, I'm just mapping Lucy's Flowers to my Lucy's Flowers Clear Books account. And this is the information from HMRC for that particular self-employment business. Hit next, and that's it. So the sign-up process is done. Like Lucy's all ready now for the future. So I can hit the MTD submissions button, see a breakdown. So in the 25-26 tax year, we can see the 4 different submission periods. They're cumulative, as Lenny mentioned. So we've got the 6th of April to the 5th of July, 6th of April to 5th of October. So as we say, like we do the first submission, and then anything that changes throughout the rest of the year, each submission just replaces the previous one. So you don't need to worry about correcting it if you've missed something. It's just, you know, hit that submission, and then the next one will replace it. Lucy's period end is actually 31st of March, so I'll switch it over to calendar quarters. So these quarters are now going to end June, September, December, March. Makes it much simpler. I can preview at the moment, so I'm in the middle of May, so I can preview the submission. But what I'm going to do, let's just jump back to the dashboard, and I'm going to jump forward in time very quickly to some point in July. So let's go to 10th of July, and then I'll refresh my dashboard, and my MTD for income tax widget is now going to give me a notification to say that I need to submit Q1 by the 7th of August. So I can just click that. That will take me straight to the Q1 submission. I can see the summary of the values. If I want to check them, as I don't need to, but if you want to go and just check those, I can click into the total expenses. We'll see all of those bank transactions that were automatically explained, and those uploaded files from earlier on. So that's the transactions behind those numbers. So this is just the 3-line accounts. If I wanted to, even though I'm not over the 90,000 threshold, I can change it to full expenses if I want to go and see full breakdown. So it'll just automatically categorize totals into the different expense categories. And when you're ready to go, just hit the submit button, and that's it. It's done. So it's just one click and the submission's done. So I can jump back to the overview. There's the summary, Q1 submitted, and that's it. Back to the dashboard, Q1's updated, and then when I move forward through to the end of Q2, I'll then see another notification to say Q2 submissions are due. Right, I'll stop there. So yeah, it's just a real quick whistle-stop tour of Clear Books and the MTD for income tax capabilities. I'll just quickly jump back in and just jump to the year end very quickly. So this is something we're actively working on right now. So for someone's individual tax account, they'll see a dashboard similar to this where they can see their current tax calculation, which they can go and view just by clicking on the number or clicking on the title. They'll see their separate income, so the self-employment income, employment income, and so on. And then at the end of the year, but once they've checked the tax calculation and everything's completed, they'll be able to finalize. They can see the tax calculation, finalize the tax position, enter the declaration or tick the declaration, and that'll be it. That's done. Right, so I'm going to hand back. So I've rushed through it real quick because I know we've got lots of questions to answer. So I'm going to hand back to Martin.
Thank you, Pete. Just before we move on to the questions, I'll just pass over to David.
Thank you. Just to touch on the toolkit, there's 4 parts of this that you should probably be keeping in mind. You know, getting your 3 clients on, those sole trader, the bag of receipts, and the landlord client. Thinking about how, as an accountant, you can be the expert. Your clients are going to be seeking advice from you over the next few years around this. And so thinking about when you create resources to answer client questions, you know, store them, publish them on your blog, send them in an email newsletter to your clients to help bring them along the journey with you. and thinking about how to get the first tranche of clients on. Maybe bring on 1/10 of the clients between now each month between now and March, so that way when April comes around, those clients that are in that first mandation wave are all onto the software. Clear Books supports all of this. A little bit of a sales pitch before the Q&A. I promise I'll keep it brief. But we're live. We have MTD for income tax. We have MTD for VAT. We also have some self-assessment functions as well. So get your clients onto Clear Books and you'll help them be compliant. That's the key message to take away. If you're not familiar with Clear Books, we're a very easy to use software. We've got a great, excellent status on Trustpilot. Our customers love our software. We've got great automations that Pete demonstrated, and exceptional first-class customer support. So I won't labor this too much. We do have an offer for you as well. So in order to take advantage of the toolkit and to get your 3 clients into the pilot, we're offering free Clear Books for your clients. So you can contact us to get in touch to take up that offer. So it'll be free from now until April 2026. So there really is no risk to get involved. I will now move to the Q&A section. So Martin, I'll pass back to you so you can facilitate the Q&A for us.
Cool, thank you, David. So yeah, we've got loads of questions. So we may not be able to cover all of them, I'm afraid, but we will help answer all those questions. I've got some of your names so we can address that for you. But yeah, I'll put everything in sort of like a fair and logical order somewhat. But the first question we have somewhat covered, but I don't know if we can add anything additional to this. But I need clarification on what I can be doing now in preparation for MTD. So I don't know if you have any additional comments to that at all, Lenny.
So think about it. What are you going to do? What's your plan going to be? How many of your client base will be coming in to MTD in 26, 27, 28? That gives you an idea of volumes. And then how are you going to deal with them? Are you going to offer to do the digital records? To be absolutely honest, the digital records is the key. Who's going to do them? Is it you? Is it a bookkeeper? Is it a client? Tell the client their options. Agree what's going to happen. If it's you, you can use Clear Books or other software is available, and you can use that, and it all becomes pretty simple. But the actual creation of the records is the time-consuming part. How much time will it be per client? You will know for a fact rather than guesstimating now. And then if you get the facts, you can then work on your pricing model. And that, to be honest, is all the client's going to be interested in.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lenny. Jane asks, hi Jane, can you do the client registration for MTD now without putting them into the pilot rather than waiting until February, March 2026 to do the sign up?
Yep, absolutely. So if you go into sign up for MTD, you're offered, do you want to sign up for 25-26? And that's to come into testing. But if you want to get ahead of the game, the sign-up process is about 4.5 minutes. So you can go in and say, no, I want to sign up from April 26. So you can do a few every month, every week, whatever, and be all signed up, ready to go, well ahead of February, March. It'll be quite busy.
Brilliant. Andrew, hi Andrew. He asks, so would an Excel cash book would suffice?
So spreadsheets are absolutely fine. We know that many people use spreadsheets as long as the spreadsheet has the required information for the digital records, the date, the amount, who it is, blah, blah, blah. And then you can either export that spreadsheet to your accountant and they can use bridging software, or they can import it into Clear Books, and it can be submitted that way. But yeah, absolutely, spreadsheets are fine.
Brilliant. Vic, hello Vic. Do you, Clear Books, have a process for joining the pilots? Probably a question for David and Pete there.
Pete, I'll let you take this because you showed us the screen with the wizard.
Yeah. So as I said, on that onboarding wizard, we've got links like directly to sign up. So you can link straight from that to the HMRC page, where you can sign up the client for MTD, and then that's it. Once you finish the onboarding process, that you're on the pilot. You switched over to the MTD for income tax pilot.
And if you have a large number of clients that you need to bring onto Clear Books at once, reach out to us and we can support you with that.
Lovely. Jane asks quite a few questions, but all sort of all in one. So if a husband and wife have a joint property, do they both need to submit quarterly returns separately? If one spouse has income over the threshold but the other doesn't, does the one with the lower income also need to file in respect of a jointly owned property? In the trial period for 25-26, if both spouses have income over the registration threshold, can just one enter the pilot if there is a jointly owned property?
Gosh, right, lots there. So individuals are individual taxpayers. So Martin, if you and I have a property together, and for the sake of argument, the property income is £60,000, so that's 50-50, 30,000 and 30,000. If we have no other rental property income or self-employment income, then you wouldn't be coming into MTD in 26, you'd be coming in 27. If the one partner or one part of the joint ownership is above 50,000, they will be coming in next year. If someone is below that threshold, they won't be coming in until they do cross a threshold. And I think the last one was coming into testing. Can only one person do it? Yes, of course, because they are individual taxpayers. So yeah, if somebody wants to come in and test that joint property journey with us and also benefit their husband or wife because they'll see what's going on, then absolutely, please do bring them in.
Thank you, Lenny. We have a question for Pete. I have several clients that are using ClearBooks for their MTD for VAT. However, some of these clients also have to sign up to MTD for Income Tax SA from April 2026. Will these clients have to take out another subscription with ClearBooks for MTD IT SA, or can the quarterly business information reported on the VAT returns be linked up to MTD IT SA?
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, so the underlying digital records basically are used for both submissions. So for the MTD for VAT submissions and the MTD for income tax. So if you've got a sole trade that's VAT registered, it's the same records. You don't need to do two lots of digital records. You don't need to have two subscriptions. It's just one business, and you're just submitting the MTD for VAT returns, and then the one-click MTD for income tax.
Thank you, Pete. Another question from this is from Denise as well. I have one client that has landlord income as well as his sole trader income and will need to sign up to MTD IT from April 2026. He is VAT registered and claims any input VAT that is allowable from his landlord expenditure through his ClearBooks MTD for VAT on his sole trader VAT return. Will clients with landlord income and expenditure now have to take out another ClearBooks subscription to send quarterly reports to HMRC from April 26? If so, how will he be able to offset any input VAT from landlord expenditure when he only has one VAT registration number?
Yeah, so I think this is a question for HMRC. This comes down to like, yeah, if you're using those de minimis rules to claim some of your exempt rental income against your sole trader, like that VAT registered sole trader VAT, yeah, I think that's one for I don't know if Lenny can answer it now or if Lenny can take that away and provide us an answer to send later.
So fundamentally, if you have a self-employed business and you also have a landlord business, you have income from property, that's two separate trades. So at the moment, you would file an SA 103 and SA 105. So you will be required to submit separate quarterly updates for each trade.
Perfect. Thank you, Lenny. And Pete? So I think we're just out of time. I think if I ask another question, well, we could possibly ask one more question. I think I can fit one more in. Will HMRC, this is from Vic, will HMRC be introducing a helpline for people like us, or would ClearBooks be our first point of contact when we run into issues?
So if you come into testing, one of the big real benefits, if you come into testing with clients, then you get access to that dedicated 30-strong customer service team based in Glasgow, who are experts in self-assessment. They've also been through MTD VAT, so they know MTD background very well as well. And that is proving to be very popular. The wait time is minimal compared to going on to the general helpline. So if you have an MTD issue and you're in testing with us, you will get access to that, and that is proving very popular, as I say.
Thank you very much, Lenny. So that is it for the hour. So thank you very much for joining, everyone. Thank you, Pete, David and Lenny. So if you do have any questions, do scan the QR code, as you can see on the screen, if you do want to book in a one-to-one consultation with me, or you can contact the number and that email address as well. If you have any further questions for Lenny, we'll be able to help answer them, and yeah, reach out to Lenny and yeah, get back to you on those questions.
Martin, could I just say one thing very, very quickly? So someone asked about the slide deck. I saw that we had still got 14 months, not 9 months on it. I will redo the slide deck tomorrow, and if you can copy the questions and send them to me, I'll answer all those questions that people have asked, absolutely no problem, and I'll get them back to you, and you'll be able to send them out to your membership next week. That'd be great.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lenny. Well, thank you, everyone, and yeah, we'll speak soon. Have a lovely day.